All right, so get this. We're about to uncover some seriously valuable financial secrets that most chiropractors, I think, never really discover.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and to do this, we're going to do a deep dive.
Ooh, I like a good deep dive.
Right. So we're diving deep into this interview with Dr. Josiah Fitzsimmons.
Right.
He's the founder of Lucro Bookkeeping for Chiropractors. And this interview originally aired on the Fizz podcast. So we're kind of doing a deep dive of a deep dive here.
Meta.
Right. And this guy's journey is wild.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
So picture this. He starts delivering newspapers
Okay.
in 3rd grade
Wow.
to help his family out financially. That's some serious hustle early on.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And it's true. That early hustle really did shape him.
So it seems.
Yeah. Dr. Fitzsimmons actually has this quote where he says the difference between, where you are right now and where you want to be, it's just a matter of understanding how to bridge that gap.
Right.
And then actually putting in the work.
Good.
And, he really walks the walk. He built his own incredibly successful practice, obviously.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he starts Lucro, which gained over 300 clients in just 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we see the work ethic, that's clearly there. But what about this data-driven approach? You think that ties back to the paper route, too?
I think it definitely is part of his, DNA.
Yeah.
He talks about how even as a kid, tracking his deliveries, how much money he was earning.
Yeah.
It instilled this idea that, numbers tell a story.
Right.
And for chiropractors, that story is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, I can see that.
Dr. Fitzsimmons really believes that the biggest mistake chiropractors make is not understanding their finances, really understanding them.
So it's not enough to just kind of glance at the bank balance and hope for the best.
No. It's not at all. You got to know what those numbers actually mean, how they relate to each other, and then the real key is using that data to make smart, well-informed decisions.
That makes sense.
He uses this analogy about Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, okay.
How she's known for her incredible investment skills.
Yeah, I have heard about that.
His point is, understanding your financial data, it's kind of like giving you that same edge.
Interesting.
It's like having insider information.
Oh, wow.
But for your own practice.
Okay.
You start to see these opportunities and risks that other people might completely miss.
That makes total sense. So how does Lucro, how does it actually help chiropractors gain that financial advantage? What do they do?
So they offer this comprehensive system for a flat fee.
Okay.
$450 a month.
All right.
And that includes weekly bookkeeping, so somebody's always got their eyes on your books.
That's good.
Monthly reports, comparing your actual performance to your goals so you can see how you're tracking.
I like that.
And then get this, they even provide something called the perfect P&L benchmark.
A perfect P&L? What makes it so perfect? What is that?
Basically, it's this super detailed breakdown of the ideal income and expenses for a really thriving chiropractic practice.
Okay.
So you can look at it. You can compare where you stand compared to that benchmark and identify oh, this is where I need to improve. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of figuring out where your money should be going.
So you're not just getting bookkeeping, but you're also getting this high-level analysis along with it.
Exactly. They even dip their toes into fractional CFO territory.
Really?
Yeah. They got the CFO partner, Adam, who comes from Jasper AI.
Okay.
Which is $1 billion company.
Wow.
So he's providing super in-depth analysis of your practice.
Wow, that's impressive.
From marketing to team to your pricing, protocols, expenses, loans, everything.
A lot of chiropractors probably don't have access to that level of financial expertise right now.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be a game changer.
Absolutely.
For their decision making.
And it's not, generic advice. It's all based on your specific data and your goals.
Okay.
Plus, they offer this 12-month financial game plan. And for a limited time, by the way, they'll clean up 11 months of your past bookkeeping.
Oh, wow.
For free if you sign up.
So you're getting caught up and you're getting this game plan.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Get on board.
That's a lot to take in. But before we get too deep into the specifics of Lucro, Dr. Fitzsimmons also had some really solid, just general year-end advice for chiropractors, right?
He did.
Not even specific to using a service.
Yeah.
Just, year-end advice.
Yeah. He really emphasized just making sure that before the year is over, you sit down and you really get a clear picture of your total revenue, your profit, and what your key expenses have been.
That makes sense. You can't plan for the future if you don't know where you are right now.
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
And knowing those numbers not only helps you like understand your performance, but also lets you potentially take advantage of some like tax strategies.
Right. You gotta think about taxes.
Speaking of which, Dr. Fitzsimmons reminds us that, there are still a few weeks left in the year to explore those. So if you haven't already, get on that.
Yeah, good reminder. But speaking of numbers, I heard Dr. Fitzsimmons shared some pretty impressive stats about, like, how well Lucro's clients are actually doing.
He did.
Yeah, financially.
He did. The average revenue for Lucro clients is $1.1 million.
Wow, that is impressive. But I'm guessing not every chiropractor is pulling in seven figures, right?
Right.
So, like, what's the secret sauce? What are those clients doing differently? Okay, so we're hearing about these Lucro clients raking in an average of $1.1 million.
Yeah.
That's got to be motivating for some people,
Oh, yeah.
but also maybe a little intimidating if you're not quite there yet.
Right.
What are some of the common pitfalls
Yeah.
that keep chiropractors from hitting those kinds of numbers?
Yeah. So Dr. Fitzsimmons points out a few key areas where chiropractors tend to underperform.
Oh, okay.
One is team optimization,
Oh, interesting.
like either overspending on staff or not utilizing their talents effectively.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's easy to think like, oh, more people equals more patience,
Right.
but it's not that simple, is it?
It's not that simple at all.
Okay.
It's about having the right people in the right roles.
Yeah.
Making sure they're well trained, empowered to really contribute their best.
Right. So it's not just about adding bodies. It's
Oh.
about building a team that functions like a well-oiled machine.
Exactly.
What are some other areas where chiropractors might be leaving money on the table?
Another big one is overspending on expenses.
Ooh.
It's easy to get caught up in the latest equipment
Yeah.
or marketing fads without really analyzing the return on investment.
Ooh, so shiny object syndrome can really hurt a practice's bottom line.
Big time. Yeah.
What's the antidote to that?
Dr. Fitzsimmons, again, he advocates for the data-driven approach.
Yeah.
Track your spending, analyze what's working and what's not,
Okay.
and then be willing to adjust your strategies based on those numbers.
So don't just throw money at a problem.
Right.
Figure out what's actually moving the needle.
Exactly.
And I know Dr. Fitzsimmons has like a favorite statistic that speaks directly to this idea of efficiency, right?
You're talking about the percentage of schedule filled.
Yeah.
It's like a simple but powerful metric
Okay.
that reveals a lot about a practice's efficiency and their untapped revenue potential.
Can you remind us how this calculation works again?
Sure.
I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
So let's say, hypothetically, a clinic could theoretically see 86 new patients
Okay.
per month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on their available hours and staff.
Yeah.
But they're only averaging 20 new patients.
Okay.
So you divide that actual number of patients
Yeah.
by their total capacity.
Okay.
So in this case, 20 divided by 86.
Let me grab my calculator.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's about 23%.
Yeah.
So that means they're only operating at 23% efficiency.
Right. Which sounds kind of low.
Yeah, it does.
But actually, Dr. Fitzsimmons said the average across the entire profession is even lower, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's actually calculated this for over 1,000 clinics,
Wow.
and the average across the board is only 20%.
Wow. So most practices are leaving a ton of potential revenue
On the table. Yeah.
sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to see why he loves this metric so much.
Yeah, imagine if those clinics could bump that up even just to 40%, 50%.
Yeah.
They could be generating significantly more revenue with the same overhead costs.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's powerful stuff.
It really is eye-opening, but it's
Yeah.
not just about, filling your schedule for the sake of filling it.
No, of course not.
Right. We also have to think about, the bigger financial picture.
Absolutely. That's where profit margin and lifetime value come in.
Yes.
These metrics really help you determine how much you can actually afford to spend to acquire new patients. And make sure that you're investing wisely.
So profit margin, just to remind everybody, that's basically how much money you're actually keeping from each dollar
Right.
you earn after expenses, right?
Exactly.
So a higher profit margin gives you more flexibility
Absolutely.
to reinvest in your practice, save for the future.
Yeah.
Maybe even give your team some well-deserved bonuses.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like the financial cushion that lets you breathe a little easier and
Yeah.
make those strategic decisions without constantly stressing about cash flow.
Yeah, for sure.
What about lifetime value?
Yeah.
That one always feels a little trickier for me to really grasp.
It's basically looking beyond that initial patient visit
Yeah.
and considering the total value that they bring to your practice over time.
Okay.
So you're thinking about ongoing care,
Okay.
potential referrals, even just like the positive word of mouth that they might generate.
So it's about like fostering those long-term relationships with your patients, not
Exactly.
just chasing those quick transactions.
Exactly. Building those strong patient relationships, it's not only ethically sound,
Yeah.
but it's also like financially smart.
Makes sense.
It creates this more stable, more predictable revenue stream for you.
This is making me rethink how I approach my own financial planning.
Yeah.
It's not just about the numbers themselves,
So
but about how those numbers inform your decisions and your actions.
that's the key takeaway here, right?
Yeah.
Like financial data is a tool.
Yeah.
It's not about letting it control you. It's about using it
Yeah.
to gain clarity, make strategic choices, and ultimately achieve those goals that you've set for yourself.
And having like a partner like Lucro to
Wow.
kind of help you interpret that data, make sense of it all,
Yeah.
that seems super valuable.
It can be, absolutely. They can take a lot of the guesswork and the overwhelm out of the equation
Yeah.
and just kind of like guide you towards making the most of your financial resources.
Yeah. I'm starting to see how powerful this can be.
Yeah.
It's like shifting from driving your practice with the parking brake on
Oh, I like that.
to finally hitting the open road,
Yeah.
you know?
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes the point that financial strategy isn't about limitations.
Yeah.
It's about empowerment.
Right.
It's about taking control
Yeah.
of your financial destiny,
Yeah.
creating the practice that you truly want.
I love that.
Yeah.
This conversation has been so insightful so far. We've learned about, just the importance of understanding your financials,
Right.
the power of key metrics like this, like
Yeah.
percentage of schedule filled,
Right.
profit margin,
Yeah.
and the benefits of, maybe working with a specialized partner like Lucro.
Absolutely.
But before we wrap up this whole deep dive,
All right.
I know Dr. Fitzsimmons also had some thoughts on team building, marketing,
Oh, yeah?
and finding that one thing that can make the biggest difference.
Yes.
So let's unpack those in the final part.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've covered like the big picture stuff when it comes to financial strategy for chiropractors.
Yeah.
But let's get into some of the like nitty-gritty details here.
Okay, love it.
I know Dr. Fitzsimmons had some really interesting insights about team optimization.
Oh,
Like building that dream team that really helps your practice thrive.
He really emphasized how much your team can either, make or break your practice.
Right.
It's not just about, finding talented people.
Yeah.
It's about creating a culture where they can really like thrive and contribute their best.
I think a lot of chiropractors are out there like doing their things solo.
Right.
What are some things they should be thinking about as their practice grows and they start to like bring people on board?
Yeah, well, Dr. Fitzsimmons had some really great like practical tips.
Okay.
First, you got to define roles clearly.
Makes sense.
Like make sure everyone understands like what are their responsibilities?
Yeah.
How does their work contribute to the overall goals of the practice?
Right. No one wants to feel like they're just spinning their wheels.
Exactly. Yeah, and then invest in training.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Give your team the tools and the knowledge that they need to really excel
Yeah.
in their roles.
It shows them you value them too, right?
It absolutely does.
Like you're investing in them as people.
Yeah, you're investing in your team,
Hmm.
which ultimately is an investment in your practice.
Right, exactly. But training's not just like a one-time thing, right?
Yeah. No, definitely not.
You can't just like train them once and then expect them to be good to go forever.
Yeah, ongoing communication is key.
Okay.
Whether it's like regular team meetings, one-on-ones, even just quick check-ins throughout the day.
Right.
These all help keep everyone on the same page
Yeah.
and foster that really collaborative environment.
It almost sounds like building a strong team
Yeah.
is like a separate skill set from being a great chiropractor.
It really is,
Yeah.
and it's something that a lot of chiropractors struggle with. But the payoff is huge.
Right.
When your team is functioning at that high level,
Yeah.
everything runs smoother.
You totally.
You have more bandwidth to focus on what you do best,
Right.
which is serving your patients.
Absolutely. But even with like a stellar team in place,
Mm-hmm.
you still got to get patients in the door.
Right.
And marketing can be like a real beast for chiropractors.
Oh, yeah.
What were some of Dr. Fitzsimmons' thoughts on that?
He actually sees marketing as another area where data can play a huge role.
Interesting.
It's so easy to fall into the trap of like just doing what you've always done.
Yeah.
Or chasing after like every new marketing trend that pops up.
Oh, yeah. Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
It's like there's always some new platform or strategy that's like promising amazing results.
Right. But Dr. Fitzsimmons recommends, taking a more analytical approach.
Yeah.
Like track your marketing spend.
Okay.
Analyze what's actually generating leads and conversions.
Yeah.
And then be willing to adjust based on the data.
So less like shiny object syndrome, more focusing on what's actually working.
That's it.
And it's not just about attracting new patients either, right? It's also about nurturing those relationships with your existing patients.
Absolutely. Because happy patients are more likely to
refer their friends and family.
Yeah. It all comes back to that like lifetime value.
Right. You got it.
And remember, like marketing doesn't have to be this huge, overwhelming thing.
That's good to hear.
Start small, test different approaches, track your results.
Okay.
And you can gradually refine your strategy over time.
It feels much more manageable that way.
Yeah.
I think like one of the biggest takeaways from Dr. Fitzsimmons was this idea of like finding that one thing.
Oh yeah, the one thing.
Can you remind us, like, what's that all about?
So it's recognizing that you can't do everything at once.
Right. We only have so much time.
Exactly. So instead of trying to like tackle a million things at the same time, identify that one area that like if you could improve it, it would have the biggest impact on your profitability.
So it could be something related to team efficiency,
You could.
marketing, or even just like streamlining a specific process
Yeah.
in your practice.
Exactly. The key is to really focus your energy and your resources on that one thing
Okay.
until you see significant improvement, and then you can move on to the next thing.
Right. So it's all about prioritizing and
Yeah.
making sure you're making the most impactful changes.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Yes. I love that concept. And it really ties into everything that we've been talking about today, right?
Right, does.
Like using data to make informed decisions, focusing on what truly matters,
Yep.
taking action
Absolutely.
to achieve your goals.
Yeah, this whole conversation has really been like a masterclass
I agree.
in financial strategy for chiropractors.
It's so inspiring to hear Dr. Fitzsimmons' journey
Yeah.
and like how he's helping other people achieve their own success.
I think our listeners are walking away with like a ton of actionable insights.
Yeah.
And a renewed sense of excitement about what's possible.
Absolutely. Remember, financial success isn't about luck
Nope.
or like some secret formula.
It's not about that at all.
It's about understanding your numbers,
Yeah.
making smart choices, and taking consistent action.
Exactly. And finding the right partners.
Yeah.
Like Lucro.
To support you along the way.
Yeah.
Can make all the difference.
As you head into the new year, think about your own percentage of schedule filled.
Okay.
Like what's that one action you can take to boost that number and create even more success
Yeah.
in the months ahead?
We're challenging you to take that first step.
Yeah,
Your future self will thank you.
for sure.
And that wraps up our deep dive
That's
into financial strategies for chiropractors.
had a blast.
We hope you found it valuable. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing,
Keep growing.
and keep diving deep.